What would you do if you were faced with the person who took your loved one's life? Could you forgive them? Could you even embrace them? In the midst of a courtroom filled with tension, something extraordinary happened. Brant Jean, the younger brother of Botham Shem Jean, stood before Amber Geiger, the woman who had shot and killed his brother in his own apartment, and did the unthinkable. In a moment that stunned the world, Brant asked the judge if he could hug Geiger, expressing his forgiveness. It was a powerful, emotional gesture, one that captured the attention of everyone watching. But what drives someone to offer such an act of forgiveness in the face of such immense grief? Was this Brant's way of dealing with the overwhelming pain of losing his brother, or was it something deeper, a profound sense of compassion, even in the darkest of circumstances? Could you, in his place, find the strength to forgive someone for taking away someone you loved?
A man whose brother was shot by a Dallas police officer forgave his killer. After she was sentenced to 10 years in prison, Brant spoke in court as the victim's brother. But instead of blaming her, he said,
"I forgive you, and I know if you go to God and ask Him, He will forgive you, but I love you just like anyone else. I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you, and the best would be give your life to Christ. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that both of them would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person, and I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
What would you do in Brant's shoes? Could you forgive someone for taking a loved one from you? Comment below and share your thoughts on this unforgettable moment of forgiveness. Before we dive deeper into this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Crime Scene Exposed. Here at Crime Scene Exposed, we dive deep into the most infamous crimes, baffling disappearances, disturbing confessions, and twisted criminal minds from around the world. From high-profile murder trials to cold cases that still haunt investigators, we uncover the truth behind the crimes that shook the world. Whether it's mysterious vanishing acts, serial killers, or shocking courtroom revelations, we bring you detailed investigations, gripping storytelling, and in-depth analysis. Botham Shem Jean, or Bo as his friends and family called him, was born in Castries, St. Lucia, in 1991, to Bertram and Allison Jean. From an early age, Botham was surrounded by the strong Christian values his parents instilled in him. Growing up in a modest, close-knit family, he learned the importance of faith, hard work, and service to others. His mother, Allison, a businesswoman, and his father, Bertram, who worked in government service, emphasized not just the value of education, but the importance of using one's life to serve others. Botham's faith wasn't just something he carried with him, it was a core part of who he was. As a teenager, he took on leadership roles in his church, becoming an active preacher and worship leader. He led youth services and inspired his peers with his passion for God and his dedication to helping those in need. In fact, both in St. Lucia and later in the United States, Botham continued to live out his faith through action, leading mission trips, volunteering at orphanages, and working with at-risk youth. These acts of service weren't just chores to him, they were expressions of his deepest beliefs. It's important to understand how deeply his faith shaped him, not just spiritually, but in every aspect of his life. Botham was disciplined, focused, and unwavering in his commitment to living with integrity. His Christian upbringing taught him to be humble, patient, and compassionate, qualities that made him stand out in every environment he entered. Whether it was helping out in his community or leading a worship service at his church, he was a natural leader, always willing to put others before himself. But it wasn't just his community that saw the effect of his faith. Botham carried these values with him when he moved to the United States to attend Harding University in Arkansas. At Harding, Botham continued to excel, both academically and spiritually. He became a cherished member of the campus community, known for his charismatic presence as a song leader and his unwavering commitment to living out the values he had been raised with.
Let the Spirit of the Lord rise among us. Let the Spirit of the Lord elevate.
As his journey continued, Botham's faith would remain the guiding force in his life. It would shape not only the man he was, but how he would be remembered in the wake of his tragic death. How did faith shape Botham's journey? Do you believe faith helps guide people through hardships? Share your thoughts below. After graduating in 2016, Botham was ready to take the next step in his professional journey. He secured a coveted position at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, one of the largest accounting firms in the world. He moved to Dallas, Texas, to begin his career, bringing with him the same values of discipline, faith, and service that had guided him throughout his life. His family back in St. Lucia couldn't have been prouder. Botham was thriving professionally, known for his hard work, dedication, and leadership, qualities that quickly earned him respect at PwC. But his life wasn't all about work. Botham remained deeply involved in his church, even in Dallas. He continued to sing in the choir and volunteered his time, always looking for ways to give back to the community that had supported him. His commitment to his faith and his family was unwavering, and his roots remained firmly planted in the values that had shaped him back home. But despite his success, he remained meticulous about his personal safety, something that would take on tragic significance in the months to come. At his new apartment in the South Side Flats, he placed a red doormat outside his door. It wasn't just for decoration. It was a marker, a symbol of ownership. It was his way of making sure that there was no mistaking which apartment was his. But what happened next, what would unfold just a few months later, no one could have anticipated. A tragic mistake would turn his world upside down, and his red doormat would become a symbol of something much darker. It was just another evening for Botham Shem Jean, quiet, peaceful, and ordinary. After a long day of work at PwC, he returned to his fourth-floor apartment in the South Side Flats in Dallas, Texas, around 9 p.m. The apartment was his safe space, where he could unwind. He was sitting on the couch, eating a bowl of ice cream, with his laptop open and the television on, the bright lights from the living room casting a soft glow on the space. Jean had no reason to feel anything but safe, surrounded by the comfort of his routine. Unarmed, relaxed, and unaware that his night would soon take a deadly turn, he enjoyed a moment of peace, unaware that his life was about to be tragically cut short. Just a few floors below him, Amber Geiger had just finished a grueling 13.5-hour shift as an off-duty Dallas police officer. She had been assisting a SWAT team in a dangerous operation, arresting suspected robbers. Exhausted and emotionally drained, she was ready to head home. Still in her police uniform and carrying her service weapon, she drove to her apartment at South Side Flats. But instead of parking on the third-floor garage level where she lived, Geiger mistakenly parked on the fourth floor. Distracted, she texted her romantic partner about plans for the evening, and as she walked up the stairs to the fourth floor, her mind was preoccupied with her phone call. As she approached the door, the first signs of error should have been obvious. Jean's apartment, number 1478, was right in front of her, but the door looked similar to hers. She mistakenly thought it was her own. There were clues she failed to notice. The bright red doormat, clearly marking Jean's apartment, and the apartment number that was 4 while hers was 3. But in her distracted state, Geiger didn't stop to reassess the situation. The lock on Jean's door was faulty, a known issue that didn't always latch properly, and it was slightly ajar, a vulnerability that would come to play a fatal role in the tragic sequence of events. Geiger, still absorbed in her phone conversation, pushed the door open without knocking. She didn't announce her presence, as police protocol dictates, nor did she stop to look around or check for anything unusual. Inside, Jean, who was sitting on his couch, looked up and saw a figure in the doorway. With the lights on and his TV still playing, there was no reason for him to feel threatened. But Geiger, likely unable to see clearly due to the apartment's dim lighting, believed she had walked into her own apartment and immediately thought there was an intruder. In a panic, she drew her weapon, shouting orders. Accounts vary on what she said, but some witnesses recall her yelling, "Let me in," before firing. As Jean looked up confused, trying to make sense of what was happening, Geiger fired twice, one shot hitting him directly in the chest. He collapsed immediately, and she realized what she had done. At that moment, instead of rushing to help, calling for backup, or administering any form of first aid, Geiger froze. She called 911 at 9:59 p.m., her voice trembling as she said, "I thought it was my apartment." But it wasn't. It was the apartment of an innocent man who had been relaxing on his couch, moments away from his life, being stolen. And instead of helping him, Geiger spent those crucial minutes texting her partner, making calls, continuing to act as though the situation was nothing more than a tragic mistake. By the time the paramedics arrived, it was too late. Jean was rushed to Baylor University Medical Center, but he died shortly afterward, unable to survive the injury inflicted by a woman who, even in a panic, failed to follow any proper protocol. She didn't secure the scene, she didn't call for backup, and she didn't attempt to help the man she had just shot.
To the scene.
More than likely, she failed to render aid to Botham Jean. It's just plain and simple.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Come on.
She's not administering any CPR or anything like that when the officers arrived. There's no blood on her. She hadn't really touched him. Neither is she asking for any advice from the 911 officer or discussing what type of medical aid can be given in order to save his life.
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. They're coming, bud. I'm sorry, man.
As a police officer, if someone's injured, whether it's at your hand or the hand of another, it is your responsibility to render aid. It's the duty and responsibility of a police officer to protect the rights of an individual they are arresting.
What's your reaction to Amber Geiger's mistakes that night? Do you think she could have done more to prevent this tragedy? Comment below and let us know your thoughts on what happened. What followed in the days after the shooting was an investigation, but questions lingered. Why didn't Geiger act sooner? Why didn't she notice the obvious clues, like the red doormat, the wrong apartment number, or the fact that the door was ajar? The investigation revealed not only her mistakes, but also glaring failures in judgment and action.
The fate of a former Dallas police officer who shot and killed her neighbor in his own apartment is now in the hands of the jury at this hour, what the judge has now told the jurors. And here's ABC's Marcus Moore from Dallas.
Tonight, prosecutors pleading for justice.
This is not one of those things where you could just say, whoops, too bad for you, buddy.
The defense begging for mercy.
She has to make that split-second decision. And this time it ended in tragedy.
But it's the words of the 31-year-old former Dallas police officer herself during this 7-day trial that may weigh most heavily on jurors.
I hate myself every single day.
Amber Geiger claims she mistakenly walked into Botham Jean's apartment last year thinking it was hers. This dramatic body camera capturing the moments after she shot him. She claims she feared for her life.
I yelled at him. It's like, let me see your hands, let me see your hands.
But prosecutors citing neighbors who say they never heard verbal commands.
One of them heard you say that.
I can't tell you why.
Well, it's because you didn't say it.
Today, prosecutors reasserting that Geiger was distracted that night, sending racy messages to her former partner who was married, and then she missed obvious signs that she was on the wrong floor.
He is sitting on his couch eating ice cream.
The defense highlighting dozens of other instances where residents made similar mistakes.
There are no winners. A wonderful human being has lost his life.
And Marcus Moore has been on this case from the start. He joined us live. And Marcus, the judge saying the jury can now consider the Castle Doctrine, which, as I understand it, is similar to the Stand Your Ground defense as they make their decision.
It is, David. The Castle Doctrine is basically a self-defense protection for someone inside their home. And prosecutors have argued, how can an intruder use that law to justify shooting a homeowner? The jury is expected to continue its deliberations in the morning. David.
All right, Marcus.
The shooting of Botham Jean set off a chain of events that would forever alter the lives of his family and the course of justice in the Dallas community. As the details of the tragedy began to unfold, the immediate question was, what went wrong? The days after the shooting were filled with confusion and tension. While Amber Geiger claimed the shooting was a tragic mistake, the investigation led by the Texas Rangers quickly revealed troubling signs of neglect and misjudgment. When police arrived at the scene, they initially treated it as a routine incident. Geiger's error as an off-duty officer was considered a mistake. But as evidence mounted, including the revealing fact that the door was ajar and Geiger had failed to render aid, the situation began to look less like an unfortunate accident and more like a failure in judgment that led to tragic consequences. Amber Geiger's arrest came 3 days later, on September 9, 2018, as the case gained national attention. Initially charged with manslaughter, her actions, or lack thereof, quickly prompted public outcry. The case raised critical questions not just about the shooting itself, but about systemic issues in law enforcement, particularly concerning how off-duty officers are trained and held accountable. In November 2018, the charge was upgraded to murder. public opinion was divided, and many felt the case exposed deep-rooted issues of racial bias, particularly given the fact that Jean, a black man, was shot in his own home by a white police officer. The trial began in September 2019, and the courtroom was filled with emotions as both sides presented their arguments. The prosecution highlighted the systemic failures within the Dallas Police Department and Geiger's blatant disregard for protocols. They pointed to her failure to call for backup, her decision to text her partner rather than immediately help Jean, and her apparent lack of awareness regarding the apartment's discrepancies, such as the red doormat, which should have immediately signaled that this was not her home. The most impactful moment came when Brant Jean, Botham's younger brother, took the stand. In an unimaginable display of grace, Brant publicly forgave Geiger and asked to hug her. The moment was captured by cameras, and Brant's forgiveness sparked intense reactions from the public. Was it an act of incredible strength, or was it a painful sign of a family being forced to endure too much? The trial also sparked protests across Dallas and beyond, with calls for justice not just for Botham Jean, but for systemic reform within law enforcement. Demonstrators gathered outside the courthouse, demanding accountability for what many viewed as a preventable death. This wasn't just about one man's death, it was a symbol of a broken system that needed to change.
I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that both of them would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person, and I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
Botham's mother, Allison Jean, speaking at the trial. Her speech, filled with both pain and strength, reflected the heart-wrenching grief of a mother who lost her son in the most senseless and unjust way. Her words resonated with viewers as she expressed the overwhelming sadness of losing her son, but also her unwavering belief in forgiveness and faith. In that moment, Allison Jean became a symbol of strength and grace in the face of unspeakable loss.
My life has not been the same. It's just been like a roller coaster. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. It's just been the most terrible time for me.
The advocacy from community leaders who called for change, emphasizing the racial elements of the case. The cries for justice were heard loud and clear, with signs reading "Justice for Botham" and "Black Lives Matter." Many activists saw the case as part of a larger struggle for racial equality and police accountability. After a tense trial, Amber Geiger was convicted of murder on October 1, 2019. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison, though she would be eligible for parole after 5 years. Her conviction was a significant moment in the ongoing fight for justice, and the verdict was met with mixed reactions. While some celebrated the conviction as a step toward justice, others felt that it was far too lenient for the loss of a life. The aftermath of the trial left Jean's family with a mix of emotions. While they were relieved by the conviction, nothing could bring back their beloved son and brother. The family continued to honor Botham's legacy, and in 2024, a civil jury awarded the Jean family $98.65 million in a wrongful death lawsuit against Geiger. The Botham Jean Foundation, established by his family, works to support young people and advance social justice causes, ensuring that Botham's memory lives on in a positive way. But the story didn't end with the trial. In a shocking twist, just days after Jean's trial concluded, a key witness in the case, Joshua Brown, a neighbor who had testified to what he heard during the shooting, was murdered in what appeared to be a separate, unrelated drug deal. The news of his death raised suspicions and added further layers of complexity to a case already fraught with tension and unanswered questions. Was this a coincidence, or was there more to the story than met the eye? What do you think the outcome of this case says about justice in America? How can we prevent these types of mistakes from happening again? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth stories like this one. The heartbreaking death of Botham Shem Jean shook not only his family and friends, but the entire nation. It wasn't just the senseless loss of a young man with so much promise, but the tragic reality that it could have been prevented. Jean's death, followed by the public trial and the national outcry, exposed the deep cracks within the system that allowed such a tragedy to unfold. But with tragedy comes the opportunity for change. The story of Botham Jean is one of pain, but also one of growth. It is a call for transformation in the way law enforcement handles off-duty situations, and more importantly, how accountability is upheld when officers fail in their duties. In the wake of the shooting, Botham's family became fierce advocates for reform, channeling their grief into meaningful action. One significant reform that emerged from this tragedy was the Botham Jean Act, which mandates that police officers wear body cameras and have their in-car cameras fully operational when involved in incidents that result in death. This act was designed to ensure that future investigations into police shootings are transparent and based on accurate, unfiltered footage, something that had been missing in this case and others like it. This act, though born from sorrow, stands as a testament to Botham's legacy, as his family fought tirelessly to ensure that the next generation of law enforcement officers would be held accountable for their actions. The law also mandates that officers be required to call for backup and follow proper procedures in potentially dangerous situations, addressing the missteps made that fateful night. It underscores that accountability is just as crucial as forgiveness. While forgiveness can heal, the process of learning from mistakes and ensuring they aren't repeated is vital to making real change. Jean's case also sparked a wider movement for racial bias training within police departments across the country. It became evident that Geiger's perception of Botham as a threat was influenced by deep-seated biases, something that must be addressed through rigorous training programs for all law enforcement officers. The push for systemic reform gained momentum, with voices from across the nation calling for changes to policing tactics, especially when it comes to off-duty officers and situations like this. Botham's family, especially his mother, Allison Jean, became vocal advocates for the need to eliminate implicit racial bias in law enforcement, further emphasizing that these issues were not just about one tragic incident, but about preventing future ones from occurring.
Held accountable for their actions, and we believe that that will begin to change policing culture all over the world. It's a sad reality that this community waited on pins and needles to decide whether or not someone could be held guilty for killing an unarmed black man in his home while eating ice cream. This should have been automatic. This should have been anticipated and expected, but it is extremely rare. And we, from this day forward, we're leading the way. We are pushing so that it is not rare, but that this is common, that justice continues to roll down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Yeah. And now we're here today because Amber Geiger has now been convicted of murder for the death of Botham. And we just hope that somehow, some way, we can get some healing in this community and we can get the proper training so no other family can have to deal with what Bertram and Miss Allison, Alicia, and Brant are now dealing with. Although we got a murder conviction, their lives will never be the same.
And this verdict is for Trayvon Martin, it's for Michael Brown, it's for Sandra Bland, it's for Tamir Rice, it's for Eric Gardner, it's for Antoine Rose, it's for Jamel Roberts, for E.J. Bradford, for Stephon Clark.
We believe in the wisdom of this jury, that decision is in the hands of this jury. And so we believe that Botham's life mattered, and we want to see a sentence that reflects that.
To the Dallas 9, to all of the people who are here, I want to say thank you.
Yes.
Because of your sacrifice, this family is able to see some form of justice in Dallas, Texas, where many people at large in the community felt like it was hopeless.
Yes.
I'm so grateful to God that we see a guilty verdict.
These changes, however, are just the beginning. The lessons learned from Botham's death about police accountability, racial bias, and the need for transparency must continue to resonate across the country. His life and his legacy are reminders that we can always push for progress, even in the face of unimaginable loss. What changes do you think are needed to prevent tragedies like this? Let's talk about how we can all contribute to a safer future. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay part of the conversation. Botham Shem Jean's life was tragically cut short, but the impact he had on those around him remains profound. He was more than just a son, brother, and friend. He was a man of deep faith, ambition, and service, whose commitment to helping others defined his every action. His untimely death left a hole in the hearts of those who loved him, but it also ignited a movement for change, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is the potential for light. Despite the overwhelming pain his family faced, they chose to honor Botham's memory by carrying forward his mission of service, compassion, and justice. Through the Botham Jean Foundation, his legacy continues to uplift young people and empower communities. The foundation provides scholarships, mentorship, and opportunities for those in need, ensuring that Botham's spirit of service lives on. His family's decision to advocate for change, despite their grief, became a beacon of strength, showing the world that even in the face of tragedy, one can push for positive, lasting change. Botham's name has been etched in Dallas history with the dedication of Botham Jean Boulevard, a permanent symbol of his life and legacy. Community projects bearing his name continue to reflect his values, ensuring his memory is never forgotten. His death, though heartbreaking, became the catalyst for important conversations about justice, policing, and racial equality, conversations that are still unfolding today. As we reflect on Botham's life, we are reminded of the importance of seeing others as human beings, not as threats, but as people deserving of love, understanding, and respect. His story is a powerful reminder that we all have the ability to make a difference in the world through our actions, our empathy, and our commitment to justice. What does Botham's story teach you about forgiveness, justice, and empathy? Share your thoughts and subscribe for more powerful true crime stories.